The following is a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.
Crossed Flags, a racing podcast. It's your midweek fix for racing news and information. Brought to you by the Championship Racing Network. Now let's head trackside to join your hosts, Steve West and Matt Nicholson.
Good afternoon. Welcome into the latest edition of Crossed Flags, back to kind of our regular schedule, which is recording this on a Tuesday right after Daytona. So now we know who's the playoff contenders are in both the Truck and the Cup Series. Matt and I are going to do predictions this coming weekend on the Saturday Big Show, so stick around for that. Also, I'm going to say this right now, being Tuesday and Tuesday afternoon, you've probably heard about the celebrity news of the wedding. That's as far as we're going to go with that news, because here's the thing. We're a racing show, number one, and number two, unless you're related to either one of them, really doesn't affect your life, nor mine. So we're going to move right along. Agree with that, Matt?
I really don't care about what they do.
Nope. Congratulations. Happy you're getting married. Hope it lasts forever. Doubt it. But good luck.
And the memes are getting out of hand already.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's kind of gotten kind of stupid. So not even worried about it. So you're safe here for the next, 20 to 30 minutes, give or take.
This is your safe space.
Exactly. Coming up in a little bit, we have been wondering what was going to be going on in year number one of RAM, and we'll detail some of the history, not in big time detail. We'll just kind of give you an overview of the history of it, and then we'll talk about the fact that they actually do have a team for 2026. But first, speaking of having a team in 2026, we start kind of overseas with Formula One. And I say kind of overseas because we've been talking about the Cadillac entry now for a little while. And Cadillac is going to have a base in England, like 7 of the current 10 teams do. But they're also going to work out of 2 other shops. They've got a GM Performance Center in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is quite literally behind one of the Hendrick Motorsport or one of the Hendrick dealerships on the road from 85 over to Lowe's Motor Speedway.
Yeah,
I say Lowe's Motor Speedway like it's still that.
Yeah, that would be I-85, exit 49. You hang a right on Prudence Smith Boulevard. You go 3 lights down, and you take a right, and the GM Performance Center sits on your right, ladies and gentlemen.
It is a humongous facility. I have laid my eyes on it, and I think you have too, haven't you, Matt?
Quite a few times.
Yeah. So this it's a humongous warehouse. So going to be working out of there, and there will also be one in Michigan, not too far away from General Motors headquarters. So that's why I say kind of sort of overseas. Cadillac's been working on a lot of stuff. They have figured out that they're working with Ferrari for the first couple of years to get their motivation, their powertrain, if you will. And we've been wondering who their drivers were going to be. And there's been a lot of rumors, and we keep hearing everyone say, oh, it's going to be this person, oh, it's going to be that person. And we discounted every single one of them because we were waiting for the official word. Well, this being Tuesday, yesterday, Monday, we started hearing more than one reliable source say that people were telling them it's going to be this pair. And early this morning, it was confirmed this pair. They're going with veterans. They're going with Valtteri Bottas, and they're going with Sergio Perez. Good move, or is this something that you might have maybe altered a little bit?
I don't think you can honestly beat this move because you're putting 2 race-winning F1 drivers in your cars that can give you all but an immediate gauge on what direction you need to take your program in.
Yeah,
by making the cars better and even making some of the powertrain stuff better.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. I've got the stats here, so let's go ahead and run this down here. So as I look away, apologize. I've got a little piece of paper here that's my cheat sheet. Valtteri Bottas, for those of you that don't know, he's a 35-year-old Finnish-born driver who started out his F1 career with Williams in 2010 as a test driver, was up to the reserve driver in 2012 and started racing with him in 2013. Moved to Mercedes in 2017, and in 2022 moved over from there to Alfa Romeo Sauber until just last year. At the end of last year, he was let go in favor of an all-new driver lineup over there. Now he's back at Mercedes as a reserve and test driver once again. Now, again, he'll move to Cadillac next year. Because he hasn't been outside of F1 for more than 2 years, his car number will stay with him. His car number is 77. So that's what he'll stick with. In all, he's got 246 starts in Formula One, 10 wins, 67 podium finishes, 20 poles, and 19 times he claimed the fastest lap of the race. First win came in 2017 of the Russian Grand Prix. His most recent win, 2021 Turkish Grand Prix. That means all of his wins came with Mercedes. You and I, we on this show and on the big show in its varying forms and homes, we've been covering Formula One for quite a while. I can't really blame the driver on this because we look at what Williams was at the time that he was coming up through the ranks and think about it. He was popular enough to where Mercedes tabbed him to move over to them while they were still really at the heights of their powers. Granted, it was anchored by Lewis Hamilton, but still they were winning races and they had just come off of that single lone championship that Nico Rosberg pulled down before he just suddenly said, you know what, won my title, I'm out, see ya, thank you very much, I'm taking my prize money and my big time trophy and I'm out. So they saw something in him that said, you know what, even though he hasn't won a race and really hasn't done all that well at Williams, we're going to blame the car, not the driver.
To which they were right.
Exactly. And here's the thing. He spent so long kind of under the shadow of Lewis Hamilton, who does create a very big shadow, let's face it. So him moving to try and see if he couldn't step out from under that, not necessarily the worst move in the world. The problem is he went to a Sauber team that was pretty much as bad as the Williams operation that he left to go to Mercedes.
If not worse.
Agreed. So,
but, really, and quite honestly, George Russell really hasn't done as much with that second car as Lewis Hamilton was doing. Even though George Russell is now the A driver,
right?
He still really hasn't done that much with the car because we all know, and even Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder sitting on row one of the front stretch can even see and know Mercedes does not unload slouch race cars.
No. Would you say that George Russell has done things on a level that Valtteri Bottas did, or did Bottas do more with his time at Mercedes than what Russell has so far?
I've got to say Bottas has because George Russell is only just a handful of races.
Okay.
Now, he's got wins under his belt. You can't discredit that, but Bottas has took the car and was doing more with the car than what Russell has on the same level par year, I guess you want to say.
Okay. That brings us to the other driver. That is Sergio Perez. Sergio Perez, born in the Western Hemisphere down in Mexico. He is also 35 years old. He's driven for Sauber. He joined them in 2011, then flipped over to McLaren for 1 year in 2013 before going to, of all teams, Force India in 2014. Of course, Force India later turned into Racing Point before he got the chance to, in 2021, move over to Red Bull. His car number, again, he was let go at the end of last year by Red Bull, so he hasn't been out too long. If he wanted to change his number, which I doubt he would, he can't. So his number is 11. 281 starts in Formula One. He's claimed 6 wins, 39 podium finishes, 3 pole positions, and a dozen times has claimed the race's fastest lap. His first win came in 2020 at the Sakir Grand Prix. That was kind of the beginnings of COVID right there, so they were scrambling, trying to make sure that they had everything set up. So he wins that first race there. His last win to date, the 2023 Azerbaijan Grand Prix. That first win came with Racing Point. So that, I think, showed Red Bull what he was actually capable of, because if we think about it, yeah, Aston Martin has shown flashes here and there, but when they were Force India and Racing Point, we were all kind of looking at them and thinking to ourselves, these guys are anchors down there with the likes of Sauber and Williams at the bottom. And truth be told, Haas F1, because while they came out like a house of cards right around 2018, 2019, they were getting ready to punt and say, hey, listen, we're just going to concentrate on next year's car, and this year's car, we're going to admit we're going to score no points.
Yeah, I mean he earned that seat at Red Bull by taking a little and doing a lot.
And then he gets kind of like what we were talking about with Valtteri Bottas, overshadowed by his teammate Lewis Hamilton. You want to talk about casting a long shadow. Sergio Perez walks into Red Bull, which is granted a fantastic car, and immediately walks into the long shadow of Max Verstappen.
Absolutely. So this is going to be, my opinion, this will be a very formidable reset for them both, and it'll give them a good chance. It'll give them a pretty fair, better than fair chance of getting themselves reestablished, and with these two right here, dare I say, competing for a win or two apiece.
Okay, so you think about these two drivers here, you think about their credentials, you think about their records, what they can bring. Like you said, they can immediately come in and say, hey, listen, we've driven cars that are much better than this Mercedes Red Bull. This is what we think we need to do. And obviously, we're a few years down the road, so there's some evolution to these cars, but they can
Sure.
give you a good baseline, right? Cadillac's resources, along with TWG, which is for all intents and purposes Andretti Global with a new name, with the
Yeah.
resources that those two factors have, it seems highly unlikely to me that it's going to take them very long to make the changes needed to make this car a car that can compete for, I'll go short term first, compete for double points on the day in very short order.
Right.
And get to the point where they're not just competing for the midfield, which probably the first year, maybe even the first two, they'll be in that situation. But I would say by year 3, especially if they do keep this pair, and I get it, they'd be about 38 by the time you were talking about the year number 3. But by year number 3, if they can keep this pair and they keep working together as the team and not kind of if they do what Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris so far have shown they're capable of doing, which seems to be working together, not against each other, I honestly believe that this is a team that can compete for not just a win, but multiple wins in a season.
Oh, I absolutely, under no circumstances do I disagree with that. They can compete for it and could compete for it very quickly. But with the 2026 schedule, I would say with these two, looking at it by race 6, which is Miami
Okay.
next year, you'll have I'm not going to say great, I'm not going to say good, I'm going to say a very fair gauge of which direction that Cadillac is going to be going in.
I think you are probably right.
I say by race 6, you should know.
Yeah,
For sure.
I think you're probably right. We'll talk a little bit more on the big show coming up this Saturday about the ramifications that this move of Cadillac coming in with this pair of drivers, which means that they are in it, they mean business, what the ramifications are for some of the other teams that are going to be in the bottom half, let's say, of the F1 standings, where we think Cadillac will be in the first year. So it should be interesting, again, to see what it is that they do in the first handful, 5, 6 races, like Matt was saying. So we'll talk about some of the other teams and how Cadillac's coming in here with a big pair of cannonball splashes into the deep end of the pool with this driver lineup is going to do.
Because those first 6 races is a pretty good different variety of tracks: Australia, China, Japan, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, and Miami.
Yeah.
So you'll have a pretty fair gauge of which way they're going to go.
Exactly. I agree with that. And then we'll bring it back home Saturday at Daytona, before everything really got on the track for the Cup Series race under the lights Saturday night. There were several announcements that were made, and we'll detail a lot of them coming up this weekend. But the biggest of them is one that we'll probably dive into a little bit more here as well. In the fact that a few weeks ago, we talked about the Ram brand under Stellantis, their new parent company, getting ready to come back into NASCAR. And they announced it and revealed a truck at Atlanta Motor Speedway earlier this summer. And you and I kind of wondered, who are they going to go with? Because if you think about it, they stated that they were going to come into the truck series first and foremost, which is the easiest of them, and we'll explain why in a minute, and then maybe step in with what we would probably consider to be the likelihood of the Dodge brand 2027, maybe 2028, once they get all of that stuff approved.
Right.
And we wondered who it was that they might be able to go with. And we uncovered a little bit of information. For example, a team, if they existed in the Cup and or Xfinity series, they could get some form of almost a permission slip, if you will, from their current manufacturer that would allow them to use another manufacturer in the truck series. Well, apparently, this particular team got said permission slip, because introducing the team that will bring Ram back to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series in 2026, it's Cowlick Racing. This is the truck that they showed off at Daytona. It's producer John and I were talking about it before we got ready to record. He didn't like the looks of it. And I'll admit, it's not exactly the prettiest truck on the planet when it comes to the paint scheme, because black and yellow, it's striking in a somewhat waspish way, but I'm allergic to these things, so it doesn't do anything for me.
I think it's really more of photos that I've seen. I think it's more of a navy and yellow looking car.
Okay. Well, either way, I mean,
I think, but yeah, it's got
the yellow I can take or leave.
Yeah.
But the more important part of this is the fact that it is Cowlick Racing that's coming in. And this isn't dip the toes in the water. This is Cadillac grabbing two very veteran, well-known race-winning drivers here. They're going to come in with not just one, not just two, but actually 5 trucks is the plan, maybe as soon as year 1. 5 trucks?
From what I've understood, there will be 5 trucks that come off of lift gates at Daytona in February.
These are 5 full-time? Or are we talking like 4 full-time and 1 star truck that might not be in every race?
To my understanding, 5 full-time teams.
So this is the Stellantis Group, their parent company, stating, to borrow the phrase from Bull Durham, they're announcing their presence with authority.
Yeah, because I went back and saw videos of the announcement that they did at the local Daytona Dodge dealership that is owned by none other than Daniel Dye's father. So
hint as to potentially one of the drivers?
Maybe, don't know, doubt it, but with the look of the truck, I automatically have one problem right off of the bat, and that's that number setting forward, which I'm praying to the gods above. Truck Series does not start that garbage either. But secondly, things that I've seen on video and transcripts that I've read, that this is not a partially funded effort by Ram. This is a full-fledged factory-backed operation that they are footing for all 5 trucks, which raised my eyebrow really, really high.
Right.
So Stellantis and Ram are sparing no expense, to which I don't blame them. If you're going to get back in this, get back in it with a bang. And I would say the shot's been fired.
Oh, yeah. All right, I'll look at it from the team. I'll put you in the shoes of Matt Cowlick for a moment. You're the team owner.
Mm-hmm.
There's a pros and cons to everything, right? Yeah. Let's start with the pros. What is the pros? What are the pros? Is there one major pro that stands out for you, or are there a couple of them that for you as a Matt Cowlick would say, I need to go with this? This is my perfect best opportunity to get into the truck series.
The major pro the major pro for me would be that Ram is fully funding this factory-backed operation.
So there's really little to no problem for you. There's no financial crisis for you in feeling like you're stretching yourself too thin.
Sure, yeah, and that because that automatically puts me in the position to where I don't have to go find a fleet, let's call it a fleet of sponsors for each truck.
Mm-hmm.
If they're fully funding these trucks, You can have let's just sponsors that Colleague already has. You don't have to worry about Leaf Filter, Celsius, Action Industries, uh, 7-Eleven, CBS Company, stuff like that. You don't have to worry about those sponsors, Champion
Okay.
Container. You don't have to worry about saying, hey, can you do this many races or that many races or this or that or whatnot?
Yeah, because
You know
the
that money,
cost of sponsoring a truck for a race is much lower than Xfinity or Cup.
substantially lower.
Right.
So
Okay.
you don't have to worry about that added headache, knowing that it's a factory back funded operation. So you know you got that help. And I'm not going to be the least little bit shocked or surprised if all 5 of those trucks roll out with some form of Ram logos all over them for race 1. I'm not going to be surprised.
Producer John, let's put that picture of that truck back up here real quick. And the reason why I want to say this is because there's a part of me that's looking at this truck, and you mentioned the fact that the number seems a little forward. And this isn't a direct side-on view, but you get a pretty good look at the side there. What would be the passenger side if you were talking about an actual road-going truck?
Sure.
Between the 10 and the Cowlick name on there, that is a ram's head. And that kind of tells me that they moved the number forward a little bit, mainly to get that logo in.
For that logo, yeah.
And I could see where that might end up being something that they would end up doing, depending on what name they throw along the side.
Sure. You could. There's still room that you could blend it in,
Sure.
and it be like towards the very upper part of the wheel well to get that number slid back.
Mm-hmm.
Because if trucks start sliding numbers forward, you're going to have anarchy and a half through social media and the series.
I mean, I've gotten used to seeing it in the Cup Series, but at the same time, it doesn't mean that I like it.
That's another story for another day.
Yeah, exactly.
So
there's a lot of possibilities here. So the main one for you is the fact that as the owner, you really don't have to worry financially about this for a while. Dodge/Stellantis is going to prop you up for the first couple of years. But do you think that at some point in time, Stellantis is going to go, hey, listen, let's go see if we can't find more sponsorship?
Right now, with how they're coming out guns blazing, I'm going to say I'm not so sure right now.
Okay.
Maybe later. But
yeah, I'm thinking 2 or 3 years down the road.
Now, while they're coming out like Yosemite Sam with guns blazing, jumping off the horse, I don't see that happening for a while.
Okay.
But I can say now this firmly has the foundation built for when the Stellantis and Dodge wants to get back into the upper 2 series. The framework and the foundation is there for an automatic in with that team, because you cannot under no circumstances tell me that Matt Colleague would not say, let's do it.
Oh, absolutely.
To which that's going to then put him in the position that he would probably have to have his own shop and move shops, because his current facility now is on the campus of RCR in Welcome, North Carolina.
And since I was Chevrolet. Right. As I was thinking about it, I was kind of wondering if this might be it, but I'll go ahead and give you the flip side here. You, as Matt Colleague, you, the owner of this team, you've listed your biggest pro. What's your biggest con?
My biggest con would be knowing that I'm about to have to expand my shop, because I'm now going from 5 full-time teams and 1 part-time team in Cup to now 10 full-time teams across all 3 series.
Right.
So now I've got to do some major expansion to be able to sufficiently house my entire operation.
So at this point in time, you're not terrifically concerned about the relationship with Richard Childress Racing.
Money talks.
Okay.
Money talks.
Okay.
I'm not overly concerned about that right now. I mean, you cross that bridge when it's time to cross that bridge. Now, he may start the operation out in a completely separate building somewhere in either Mooresville or Statesville.
I think it's going to have to be that way, isn't it?
He may do it that way, but then again, there may be ground already being broken at that shop and getting it expanded.
Could be.
Who knows?
We'll certainly talk about that a little bit more when it comes to the big show on Saturday, because I expect some more will have come out by then. And then there's the driver situation. You mentioned the fact that this was handled at the dealership that Daniel Dye's father owns, which is a Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram dealership, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So Daniel Dye, not confirmed, but a possibility?
Maybe in a couple of one-offs. If they don't fill the, let's just say if they don't fill the fifth truck up, and it's a full-time team, but it's got an all-star rotation. Let's work that way.
Okay.
Maybe in a couple of one-offs. Don't know.
All right.
But
so you think he's fine sitting up there in the Xfinity series, not worried about it?
Yeah, because I don't know if that would open Pandora's box up because we all know how manufacturer deals work. I don't know if he's got a manufacturer link in through Chevrolet, and I don't know if Chevrolet would sign off on him driving a Dodge or Ram truck. I'm still going to call it Dodge.
Yeah, I know.
Driving a different manufactured truck.
Okay.
I don't know if how that would work over.
I did hear rumors of the fact that they would like to talk to a guy who actually early this year turned down the possibility of a full-time Truck Series ride, and that's Corey LaJoie, who actually does have a ride in the Truck Series through the end of this year, just because of all the weird silly season news that came out just within the last couple of weeks.
I could safely say, and I'll fully admit, I'm not the biggest supporter and fan of Corey LaJoie because he made some questionable moves.
Right.
But I think that could be a very fair place to start, and I would say he could be the anchor veteran driver of the team, possibly.
I think he would be, yeah.
That could be a start.
Could it be, and this is a big question because you and I thought about this several years ago when John Hunter Nemechek decided, thank you very much for the rookie year at Front Row Motorsports. I'm going to go back to the Truck Series and work my way back up, see if I can get a better ride. He now seemingly is in a Toyota car with Legacy MC. Is this a John Hunter Nemechek way of him maybe circling his way back up into the Cup Series?
Fair assessment, yeah.
So now it's just a matter of whether Corey LaJoie is willing to bite the bullet, so to speak, and say, you know what? This is my best avenue. Let me take the full-time ride because I have it now presented to me, and let's go and do the best that we possibly can with it.
I mean, yeah, you realistically have 5 open seats for I would dare say, for vehicles that could be up front on any given weekend.
And that was the next question. How quickly can these guys get out there? The reason why this truck can get on the track so quick is because the only thing that makes this a Ram versus a Chevy Silverado, a Ford F-150, or a Toyota Tundra is the body. And I use the body. Yeah, I use body very carefully because, like you said, it's really the nose piece and the tail piece where the headlights and the tail lights and the grill are. That's it. So how quickly can Cowlick Racing be competitive with a quintet of trucks, regardless of who the drivers are?
With how things are in the Truck Series now and how much tighter they are, I would dare say they could roll out and be competitive right out of the liftgate at Daytona.
And wouldn't that be some news?
That would be interesting, and that'd be very interesting because, for the most part, you could call this as 5 formidable seats that are now wide open. Mm-hmm. That could be opened up for five fresh faces. Let's call it 5 fresh faces.
Yeah.
That could be looking for that second chance or wanting that second chance, and being that Ram and Stellantis are backing, and they're footing, let's just word it as a majority of the bill for the team,
Mm-hmm.
to which they could probably realistically they're fielding these 5 trucks just as easy as one competitive Cup car could be fielded for a year.
And that kind of brings me back to what I was thinking about, because if you think about big splashes, big news stories, if you will, when Dodge first decided that they were going to come back in the 2001 Daytona 500, they were set to be the biggest story. And if it hadn't been for the death of Dale Earnhardt, I think Dodge coming back would have been the biggest story of the day.
Yeah.
Because with Ray Evernham and with some of the drivers that they had, not just with Evernham, but obviously Evernham being kind of the linchpin, the man who started them all back.
It was Evernham, Millick, and Chip Ganassi. And
Yeah.
I remember Dodge locked out the front row for the 500 with Stacey
Exactly.
in the pole and Bill Elliott outside pole.
That was going to be the big story of the day until Dale Earnhardt unfortunately was killed. This has the potential of being one of, even though it's not the Daytona 500, this has the potential of being one of the biggest stories of Daytona and the season opener weekend for NASCAR.
Absolutely. There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah. So looking forward to this. And like I said, we'll hopefully have a little bit more on the shop situation, and maybe it's probably still a little bit early right now, but maybe we'll have a little bit more light shed when it comes to the potential of drivers and who they might be interested in and who might be interested in going to them. Unless you're a driver with a Thor Sport or one of the powers,
right?
This has to be attractive if they're thinking about coming to you, doesn't it?
No doubt, because as I was saying earlier, and I got sidetracked, with this being a factory-backed team, fully factory-backed,
mm-hmm.
that in reality takes pressure off of some of the drivers going, oh, you got to bring, if somebody's talking to me and I'm wanting to get one of these, get in a truck, oh, you need to bring 6.5 million.
Yeah.
To throw a number out there, you need to bring 6.5 million.
You're not really having to worry about that.
You're not really having to worry about that much. You may just to bolster your chances. Let's word it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe can bring, I don't know, added $1 million to the team.
Yeah.
Throw that in there and be like, all right, hey, Chris Rock tell me, all right, hey Matt, you're gonna go win one truck.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. Let me go get my stuff together.
Sure.
You gotta tell me twice.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So a couple of very big splashes made for this time around. Again, we'll have some more details coming up here on the big show on Saturday as they come in. We don't know as much more will come out of the Cadillac camp, but we'll go over it again and update you with what we know. And who knows, maybe we'll find out more when it comes to Cowlick and their situation with the Ram brand. And I don't know as we're going to find out anything more about Dodge or what it is that Stellantis is going to be doing anytime too soon when it comes to Xfinity and or Cup. I think they want to try and get this thing up off of the ground and not only walking, but running under its own power, which I don't think is going to take too long. But I think they're concentrating on that before they're worried too much about stepping up to either of the upper two levels. But we'll have all of that and we'll have more because it's the big show. It's coming up on Saturday. By the way, for those of you that are used to catching us in East Central Alabama on the flagship radio station, 95.1 The Mountain, not going to happen this Saturday. This is going to be a YouTube show only this weekend because NASCAR starts very, very early over at Darlington Saturday morning at the time when we would normally start. So we're going to be YouTube only. Be prepared for that. CRN Live on YouTube, 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central Time, on behalf of producers John and Molly, who helped get us set up on CRN Live on YouTube and Jocks FM TV. We appreciate them both. And on behalf of my co-host, Matt Nicholson, I'm Steve West. Thank you for checking out Crossed Flags.
You've been listening to Crossed Flags, a racing podcast. For more content like this, subscribe to CRN Live on YouTube, and you'll be set to catch the 2-hour live show every Saturday morning at 9 Eastern, 8 Central.
This has been a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.